I brought you out here in the wind to the cliffs to talk about something that has nothing to do with wind or cliffs. I wanted to talk about the importance of finishing a project and what that does to strengthen certain muscles that I think a lot of creative people, maybe especially sometimes, at least in my experience, aren't that used to working. I've known many people in my life that very creative people, very brilliant people that have a tendency to start things, many things. They're brilliant things, they're good ideas, they're sometimes great ideas, but the problem often is that very few of them get finished. I think finishing is something you practice. It's a muscle you work, you strengthen it by doing it. So even finishing our bad ideas, I think, can have a lot of value just to practice this sort of emotional roller coaster of finishing anything. Because there will be resistance, there will be parts that are repetitive, boring, tedious, and that require constant refinement or going over boring details over and over again to get them right. And there's a lot to learn in that process. There's a lot to be discovered about yourself and about your workflow, where you tend to cut corners, where you are detailed, where you are disciplined and where you're not, what you enjoy, where you're efficient, where you're not so good. Those are things that are important to discover about yourself, and they will help you improve on your workflow. They will help you find a methodology that works for you and that you can expand on and bring with you to other people, to find people to work with. If you know who you are in a creative situation, in a creative context, if you know your strengths, your weaknesses, you become a person who is easy to work with. You become a more honest version of yourself, a more insightful version, a more capable person. But you only discover that through doing it. And I feel like it's really, really common for a lot of people, and I do this too, where you work hard and you reach a certain point of a project where you tend to move away, back off, and start something else. Because you reach the point where you need to complete it, where you need to finish it, where it is done, and you put it out, or you hang it up, or you launch it somewhere, or you send it in, whatever you need to do, whatever it is you're doing. But reaching that point can be very, very scary. Of course, that means that you are done. That means that you have finished. That means that you have no room to improve it. But phasing that, working through it, is vital if you ever want to do anything. If you ever want to achieve anything, you have to be willing to go through that, and you have to be open to feeling whatever negative emotion that comes up and work through it and push through it. And you have to be ready to face the fact that it wasn't as good as you hoped, but still pursue it all the way through and then start something new, because you learn from that. You learn from going through that. You don't really learn from putting it aside and starting over every time. You just stay stagnant that way, and you keep being an idea person, you keep being a creative person, but you're stuck in the idea phase. You're not a complete creator, if you will. So you're losing out on strengthening and working that emotional muscle that you need in order to achieve anything. And I'm not talking about achieving success in air quotes for some external factors or some outside validation. I'm talking for your own sake as a human being, for your own personal sense of self and accomplishment and pride in who you are and in what you do, and in being a person who can say that I'm gonna do this and then do it. It's such an important feeling. It's such an important foundation to have within. But in order to be that person, in order to get there, you need to practice it. You need to work it. And I think there's a tendency sometimes to think that if you are a creative genius, you just have ideas, you do the thing and you put it out. And I don't think those are the same skills. I think you can have all the talent in the world but still struggle to finish anything you start, because it's a separate thing. It relies on different mechanisms. It's a complete separate part of creativity. There's the idea phase, there's the arranging, the sort of production phase, the producer, the director, if it's a movie, the person who can pick all the separate parts and all the brilliant ingredients and turn them into something that holds together as a cohesive thing. I remember a meme years ago, something about creative work, and it says, "Oh my God, this is brilliant. This is the best idea ever. Next phase is this is horrible. This is trash. This is the worst thing I've ever done. This is never going to be done. Next step. Actually, this is kind of good. Maybe I can do something with this. Back to this is genius. This is amazing. Fantastic. This is the best thing I've ever done." Obviously, I'm butchering the meme and I'm butchering the story, but the point is that there's a certain pattern to it that's almost universal, where you have an idea, it's brilliant, you work on it, it's great, you work on it some more and you're stuck, and all of a sudden you feel like maybe it wasn't so good, maybe it's a terrible idea, maybe I can't ever achieve anything ever again, why did I even bother trying? And that's the part where people give up, and that's where you can't give up. Keep working at it, keep chipping away at it, and figure it out. Because you will figure it out. Maybe not that day or that week or that month, but you will figure it out if you keep trying. And you'll come out the other side a much, much, much stronger person. And you come out as someone who, with confidence, can say, I'm going to do this. And then you do it. Living life with that foundation within yourself, doing things in life with that as your base, I think is worth a lot more than X amount of streams on digital platforms or likes on a blog post, whatever it is you do. It's worth so much more. It's a lifelong thing that you can work on through creative pursuits. Any pursuits. It can be gardening. That's all I really wanted to say. Because I've been thinking about this a lot, and how I used to be a finisher. And I feel like I lost that a little bit with the added pressure of releasing things for the public, for an audience. I got really paralyzed by that and chickened out a bit from my typical rigid discipline around finishing projects. All this talk of finishing takes me back to the very first song I ever wrote and recorded by myself. It's bad, of course, but I can look back now and still see the seeds of what I wanted to do. I didn't really write many more songs by myself after that, because I had a friend who was a really talented musician, and I could tell he didn't care for it. So I settled for being the idea guy and the lyricist, and he was the talent. So I brought ideas, words, and melodies, building blocks, and would then act as a producer while he wrote all the parts. I didn't really write any songs completely by myself after that until I moved to the States. But while I was there, I wrote about 2 albums of finished songs, plus a few more, in less than a year. And I learned so much from that. It was the beginning of everything for me. Writing and finishing songs by myself was so precious. And it gave me the confidence to later do this whole YouTube thing. I would never have done anything like this if I was still outsourcing the end result to people I perceived to be more talented. Because truth be told, my talent was getting things done. I just didn't have the confidence to ever imagine I wouldn't need any help. Anyway, so here's the song, If You Dare. It's based on a drum loop I cut out from an instructional drumming video I stole off of YouTube and just pieced together in Audacity. We're talking 2012 or so. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and bye-bye.
The rise of Western monotheism, the human experience has been marginalized. We have been told that we were unimportant in the cosmic drama. But we now know from the feedback that we're getting from the impact of human culture on the Earth that we are a major factor shaping the temperatures of the oceans, the composition of the atmosphere, the general speed and complexity of speciation on the planet.
We see the signs of time days before bloodshot eyes. We are the one true keepers of our truth we all despise. We dream of fortune, dream of greed, while die from this need. Saviors of humanity, please fight this goddamn vanity. We are the soldiers painted black, born to fight and slave for the ones who lead our destruction. Where truth is not a human right, but dictated by money's law. Ideas are under their control. Corrupt corpses blame the other while torturing their only mother. With broken bones and cut out tongues, we fight you from our graves. Death is not our main concern, yes, truth always prevails. Rulers over life and death, hypocrisy, brutality, self-proclaimed Cause what prize before the killing?